So today I'm going to drag my already mentally unstable mind further into the abyss of darkness by looking at the worst possible Geometry Dash opinions ever. I asked you guys in the community post what the worst Geometry Dash opinions you guys have heard were, and because I got over 300 responses within 24 hours, I'm not going to be able to go over all of them, but let's just say some of them were pretty ridiculous. So without further ado, subscribe and let's get into the video. Silent Clubstep is a good level. There's the difference between legendary and good. Honestly, I kind of agree with your take on it, as opposed to Silent Clubstep is a good level. In terms of what it set out to accomplish, I think it did succeed, in being an impossible level. Well, okay, at least for the first few years. But I do think if you just take a step back and look at it just from all perspectives, other than it just being an impossible level, yeah, it is kinda trash. Today I argue with someone who said this: there are no principles of Geometry Dash levels that you can objectively measure, because while there are principles of art and principles of animation, there are no principles of GD levels. I don't think this is true, mostly because there are certain things about Geometry Dash that just will end up being objective. For example, you can say something is badly optimized if it has like 800,000 objects, and well, I don't think you can objectively measure deco or especially gameplay. There's at least some sort of things that you can in general count as lesser or better, because there is always someone who's going to find decoration more appealing that most people don't, or gameplay more appealing that most people don't. But in general, there are some things that the community tends to actually enjoy and some things that they don't. Oh boy, another Silent Clubstep one. Silent Clubstep has very enjoyable and balanced gameplay, and it's super easy to get consistent at. Unlike most opinions, this is just objectively wrong, because if you look at how long it took for people to beat this level, around 7 years, yeah, it's not exactly super easy to get consistent at. Although I'm sure someone out there could probably find Silent Clubstep enjoyable, it's definitely not balanced. There are parts of it, like at the end, that is just the memory thing. That's very easy compared to, literally 8 frame perfects in a row. Just a sea of frame perfect. The only way to enjoy GD is to beat extreme demons and get list points. It doesn't matter if you don't have the skill to yet. You should do a massive jump from some random medium demon because it's fun. Maybe this is true for whoever said it, because maybe that's just how they enjoy the game, but I can say personally, I get a lot of enjoyment out of creating. Some of my favorite levels in the game, like Starpunk and Deathmoon, are actually easy demons. So yeah, I would disagree. The way levels are rated is really good since it provides you with the best quality levels. Flappy Bird and Level Mix levels were the best trends in GD. So for the first one, honestly I think the rating system is pretty messed up currently. I do know Stormfly made a video about it, but I do honestly think that the standards for a star rate specifically should be lowered, considering that at this point, only like really good levels get star rated in the first place. Although I do understand why featured and epic ratings would be a little more exclusive, considering that those are the things that you first see in the game, and NPCs that are literally like 5 have to be able to like look at a featured level and pretty much just process the whole thing, like brand friendly stuff. I hope with 2.2, with the addition of like legendary and godlike and those other ratings, that maybe the standards for star rate and maybe featured specifically could be lowered. I think a good example of a level that would positively benefit from this, which I cannot stop itching about, is Funktown, because while it uses a funk song and generally has a darker theme, which would be the only reason I could really think of for it to not be rated, and it is a little buggy. I still think it's definitely worthy of a star rate because it has a really nice atmosphere, it has good decoration, and generally okay gameplay. So while I understand why it wouldn't be considered feature worthy because of that, it should definitely at least be star rated. On the Flappy Bird and Level Mix levels being like the whole best trends in GD, I honestly think that Flappy Bird trend is probably the second worst trend we've ever had in Geometry Dash, only seconded to the Slaughterhouse trend. Although Level Mix, I can understand why people would like it because it is somewhat interesting, although it is pretty repetitive after the first 3 levels. Buff Bath and Riot's Demise are the best top 1, the most fun and enjoyable levels with incredible decoration and original gameplay, except the Rock House obviously. Although jokes aside, the only reason I make fun of Riot's Demise is how much it just pisses some people off. It's just a level I find bland and unoriginal, it's really not that deep, and also the name is just so easily made fun of because of how just hard it is to take seriously. The funny thing is, I know there's this ILL Discord server that absolutely hates me partially because of this, because I guess that's the only thing you can really think about after you come home from your middle school esports club. And honestly, that is the only reason I even talk about Riot's Demise in the slightest, is literally just to piss those people off because it is absolutely hilarious. That being said, Riot's Demise is obviously incredible and cured my cancer. Adv, Krazen, and Just a GD Player are cool people. I don't know, I mean, Just a GD Player really just wanted a hug, and maybe a cupcake, and some other stuff. The Acheron was easier than both AOD and Slaughterhouse because it doesn't have any 4x speed portals. Does Abyss of Darkness have any 4x speed portals? And I mean ones that last more than 2 seconds. I mean, I think so, right? I like literally cannot remember half of Abyss of Darkness. I think this is just wrong in general because there are so many ways to measure difficulty other than just speed portals. Like VSC is a pretty slow level, but it's obviously going to be harder than electrodynamics because there's just other things that factor into difficulty. Someone said to me that having 67 quadrillion upcoming top 1s is good because it makes the game unpredictable and you can't tell which one will be next. I only really tend to like the ones that actually try to do something as opposed to just, here's a level, it's top 1, give me money. But I also think that the entire community uniting around one top 1 verification is much more exciting than having a, oh, well now this level's top 1. Anyways, there was no hype around that. So yeah, that's top 1 now. Like, there's just a lot more boring than, like, Bloodlust verification. Like, everyone was pretty hyped for that. There aren't enough upcoming top 1s. Bloodlust is underrated. 9 Circles levels are original. So the last one is just not true because if you rip off just one level, that's unoriginal. Like, that's just not what the word original means. Bloodlust is underrated. Honestly, I can't speak to this because I'm not a top player, but I've heard a lot of people say that it's overrated in terms of difficulty on the list, but I don't know. If we're talking in terms of just how famous it is, I think it's perfectly fine. It's very much recognized in the community. There aren't enough coming top 1s. I'm going to tell you as a YouTuber that often talks about upcoming top 1s, no, there's more than enough. Super probably level isn't a memory level, plebism. That is probably the least insane thing I've ever heard plebism say. Just heard someone unironically say that Bloodbath is an insane demon. That's a new one. The human limit is the best upcoming top 1, which, by the way, was actually posted by the host of the collab. And considering the title of the community post was Worst GD Takes, this is kind of funny. At least you're somewhat self-aware because, well, it's not necessarily the worst, it's not near the best either, at least in my opinion. I haven't really talked much about the human limit on this channel. I really don't care much about it, although I don't think having it named the human limit is a great time investment because if it is verified and it is somehow top 1, then it's, you know, eventually just inevitably going to get moved down. So yeah, Blood Swamps isn't good / is mid, when the art literally looks better than most things this game has to offer. I think this generally could come from just the fact that a lot of people just blind hate AP Team, which I don't really understand because other than Sonic Wave Infinity, I like every single level they've ever made. And Blood Swamps and God of Despair are like works of art at this point, like I cannot be whatever. Showcase YouTubers work so hard and take so long to make these videos, they deserve their views of highlighting some random demons on their channels, as well as all the subs. Admin on a Discord server. Guess it kind of makes sense that an admin on a Discord server would say this. I think Showcase YouTubers do deserve at least some sort of fame, but it doesn't exactly take that long to make most of those videos. Like, you can kind of record a bot for a level in usually like half an hour, and I'm very much like giving the benefit of the doubt. It's usually going to take less than that. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just have to record a bot of a level and then replay it and then just upload it, and then have pre-saved recordings of every upcoming top 1 just in case it gets verified so that you can make a showcase of it on the same day and get a ton of views. I don't really have a problem with showcase channels as a concept, I just don't like it when they get really clickbaity. A great example of this would be the only Lay GD, who at one point had a Cataclysm 2 showcase, which was like a joke level made for fun by Nobleboy like 4 years ago, and called it harder than Acheron, which is just wrong. That's just, no, I don't think I need to elaborate on why a 2018 Cataclysm remake is not harder than Acheron, but okay, whatever. That being said, on the other end, we have people like Nexus who actually beat their levels and don't actually title them in an insane way just to get views. So there's a little bit of a spectrum. People who haven't beaten extremes can still rank the difficulty of top demons. Example, some guy whose hardest is Firewall said that Cold Sweat was harder than Slaughterhouse. I don't think people who haven't beaten extremes could rank the difficulty of top demons accurately. I only really base my opinions off of what top players have said, and then also taking into account possible biases that they have. However, I have never claimed that my opinion is objective fact because I'm not a top player. I don't have the experiences needed to judge them with 100% accuracy. I just make rough estimates based off of what I've seen top players say and possible biases that they have. Ignoring the typos, Nick XD is a legit player and he should be a top player for his progress on Death Corridor. Honestly, I disagree, and this is because I actually verified Death Corridor a few weeks ago. I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people have been still like claiming that Nick XG is like a great player because he's getting world records on Death Corridor when I've already beat it. And honestly, I'm kind of getting mad at him at this point because he's saying verifying in his titles when actually I've already beaten it, so it'd be progress, just he's getting first victor. That's not any less of an accomplishment, I'm just saying like it's an inaccuracy and it's like misinformation, so yeah. 9 Circles levels will never and will never be good. Look, I get a lot of them are derivative and bad, especially the 1.9 ones, but we have levels like Hue Effect, Dawnbase Incarnate, Cosmic Cyclone, etc. that are so good. 9 Circles levels can be amazing. I honestly 100% agree with your take on it, and not the actual quote. A lot of people just hate 9 Circles levels because some of them are pretty bad, and while some of them are really bad, Poltergeist. There are some that are actually really interesting. It's really just a concept that you can expand on to make either better or worse. Hot take, I pronounce Acheron as Acheron. I don't know if that's necessarily a take as much as just you're a monster. Jokes aside, you can pronounce it however you want, but I just pronounce it Acheron because I'm pretty sure that's how you actually pronounce it, and it sounds cooler. So, problem isn't too many top 1s, it's how bad they are. If we had infinite amounts of really, really good top 1s, it would be less of a problem, but it would still be sort of a problem because it still divides the community among different levels, and then everyone would be arguing over which levels were the best, which would just be kind of annoying. So 2.2 should release in Detroit before anywhere else in the world. This is just impossible. You can't have 2.2 in Detroit. Wavix is not a furry. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. If you liked it, then like and subscribe. If you dislike it, then dislike it. You can join my Discord server. Link is in the description. I promise it's sometimes fun, sometimes maybe. And yeah, see you in the next one.